Hey Dolphins fans, welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into some serious Dolphins talk. As always, we're committed to improving every day, aiming to bring you guys some incredible news, and hopefully, one day, incredible results. But before we get started, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. We've got tons of exclusive news that you don't want to miss out on. So, let's talk about it. The Miami Dolphins, sitting at 2-6 this season after a heartbreaking 30-27 loss to the Buffalo Bills, are making waves in the league, not for giving up, but for fighting to turn this season around. According to NFL insider Drew Rosenhaus, the Dolphins have been actively making calls and looking to make moves before Tuesday's NFL trade deadline. This news might come as a surprise to some fans, given the team's rocky performance so far. However, the Dolphins, led by GM Chris Grier, are pushing to build a competitive roster, even if a playoff spot seems like a long shot right now. The Dolphins aren't ready to throw in the towel just yet, and honestly, it shows some real grit. Many teams in their position would likely start looking to offload contracts or move veteran players in exchange for draft picks, setting their sights on future seasons. But Miami is taking a different approach, which tells us they believe they're just a few pieces away from turning things around. They're seeking talent to make an impact immediately, hoping to capitalize on the energy Tua Tagovailoa brings now that he's back healthy and showing serious growth on the field. Coach Mike McDaniel has openly acknowledged the team's struggles, emphasizing that despite the losses, there's been visible improvement. He pointed out Tua's progress, decision-making, and confidence, as well as the team's determination to fight for wins. While there are no moral victories in the NFL, McDaniel emphasized that every improvement counts toward building a stronger team. The Dolphins showed offensive resilience against the Bills, with Tua going 25 of 28 for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns, but defensive lapses and untimely penalties ultimately led to their downfall. The Dolphins' interest in adding players could indicate that they're looking at pass rushers, experienced defensive backs, or even shoring up the offensive line. Rumors are already swirling about potential names, with the Dolphins possibly eyeing veterans who can add stability and bring fresh energy to the squad. Adding a defensive star could help Miami get back to their strong early-season form before injuries hit, particularly if they manage to bring back key players like Jevon Holland and Bradley Chubb in the coming weeks. For Grier, this move to acquire new talent isn't just about salvaging the season, it might also be about his job security. As someone who's been with the Dolphins since 2000, Grier has witnessed the franchise's ups and downs, and he knows better than anyone that making a bold statement now could impact his future with the team. Grier's situation, along with an aging roster, creates a sense of urgency that we're not often used to seeing mid-season. So, bringing in new talent isn't just about winning a few games. It's about showing the team and fans that this franchise is committed to building a culture of excellence. Now, while the Dolphins are reportedly looking to acquire, this doesn't mean they aren't open to parting ways with a few players to make room for fresh talent. It's a balancing act of adding valuable assets and potentially letting go of players who may not be in the team's long-term plans. Names like Emmanuel Ogbah, Raheem Mostert, and even Jevon Holland could be discussed in trade talks, depending on what Miami could gain in return. Veterans with expiring contracts or who may not fit into the future vision of the team could be prime candidates. Let's break down some potential moves. Emmanuel Ogbah. Ogbah's experience makes him a valuable asset, especially if Miami can find a team in need of a solid pass rusher. He could be swapped for a mid-round draft pick, which would give Miami additional assets moving forward. Raheem Mostert. At 31, Mostert has been an important piece of the offense, but with younger talent like Devon Chain ready to step up, Miami might consider moving him in exchange for a player or a draft pick. Jevon Holland. This would be a big decision. Holland is talented and could fetch a high draft pick, but he's currently dealing with an injury. If Miami isn't able to sign him to a long-term deal, trading him might be the way to go. Other potential trade pieces could include Bradley Chubb, Calais Campbell, and Terron Armstead. Moving these players could free up salary cap space and give Miami flexibility for upcoming seasons. After the loss to the Bills, McDaniel's message to the team and fans was clear. There's been growth, even if the results aren't showing up in the win column. The Dolphins' offense has shown sparks of promise, and players like Jalen Waddle and Devon Chain have demonstrated they can contribute when healthy and given the opportunity. However, defensive errors and penalties have repeatedly plagued the team, and the lack of consistency has been a season-long problem. If McDaniel and the coaching staff can address these issues and keep players motivated, there's a chance that Miami could close out the season on a high note. But to do that, they'll need to add a few key pieces at the trade deadline, ideally players who can provide immediate help. If the Dolphins manage to bring in new talent and secure a few more wins, it could set the stage for a positive end to an otherwise disappointing season. There's also the possibility that the new additions could help the younger players gain experience and confidence, which will be invaluable for next season. Of course, this all depends on whether Grier and the Dolphins front office can pull off these moves before Tuesday's trade deadline. If the Dolphins succeed, we could see a more competitive Miami squad that continues to build chemistry and sets up a strong foundation for 2025. But if they miss out, we may be looking at a difficult remainder of the season and perhaps a significant shakeup come off-season. Dolphins fans, what do you think? Are you on board with Miami's push to acquire new talent at the trade deadline, or would you rather see the team stockpile draft picks and focus on next season? Should the team go all in to bring in help for Tua, Waddle, and the gang, or should we look to move some veterans and focus on rebuilding? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, if you're enjoying this in-depth Dolphins coverage, give us a like and subscribe. We'll be here all season long, bringing you the latest on everything Dolphins. Thanks for tuning in, Fins fans. Let's keep pushing forward. Fins up.